Hello, friends. Good buddy Stub here, Passyunk Avenue in Battersea, London. Welcome to the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast. Little Tweener. For Friday, May 1st, 2026. Now, friends, as always, let's remind you that the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast may contain foul language or explicit content, so listener and viewer discretion is advised. Hey, if you're at work, put on your headphones. If you have a child in the car, listen to this shit later. And if you're any of our mothers, remind your friends over coffee that you raised us way fucking better. And please to also let me remind you that the One Bourbon, One Chard, or One Beer podcast can be seen on the Cork Envy YouTube channel under the One Bourbon, One Chard, or One Beer podcast playlist. So do that, because who doesn't want to look at my sexy mug while listening to my dulcet tones? And also, please to follow my best good mate and co-founder of the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast, Kern, at Forgotten Grapes or at Paso Seco. And as always, you can follow me at Corkaby to keep up with my ever-expanding shenanigans. Now, let's get to the show this week, shall we? Now, friends, today I want to chat just a little about life. And I promise I'm going to get some music and alcohol pairings in a bit, but I must kind of first admit that I've been just in a bit of a funk for the last several weeks. Not like a depression or anything that dramatic per se, but I've just been a bit unmotivated and actually more so uninspired. Now, could it be that the spring weather hasn't fully developed here in London yet to the point that I still have to plan for 3 seasons of weather in any given day? Or how about the fact that no one informed the flora and fauna, and mostly the flora here, that spring hasn't really come on board yet, so distributing your pollen and spores to the lot of us who suffer from seasonal allergies and hay fever seems very fucking cruel. Or maybe it's the fact, my birthday having just passed a few weeks ago, and that I've taken that benchmark to take a little stock and do a bit of a personal reset. Or it could be that it's just one of those things that happen from time to time. What I really think it might be, however, is the fact that I've been doing a lot of stuff I have to do and less of things I want to do. And I don't mean like fully leisure activities want to do, but some projects I've either been putting off or waiting on schedule alignment with others to get going. So I've just been in a bit of a malaise, shall we say. Now, that doesn't mean I've been miserable. The last month included some good days out of both work and leisure that involved a couple of nights out, as well as celebrating the ribs, several of our mates, as well as my own birthday. But again, I just haven't felt myself in spirit, passion, or motivation. Now, that said, I can say that on April 16th, I was able to get a bit nostalgic and soothe my general unease by seeing one of my favorite Texas artists, Carll, play with Canadian country artist Corb Lund here in London. Now, I've been listening to both of these guys for a number of years now, and I'll admit that I generally have kept up with Carll's work a bit more diligently, but that doesn't mean that I don't know or haven't heard Corb Lund's work as well. So the show setup was this, friends. 2 guys sat on a stage next to each other, told stories, and took turns playing their own songs. Now, Hayes and Corb have actually been mates for a number of decades now after meeting at a festival in Canada years ago, and according to Hayes at the show, have a friendship built on gambling and alcohol. Gosh, there's worse things, I guess, to build a friendship on, right? So, a guy named Dave Sutherland, who's a London local Americana singer-songwriter with whom I was not familiar before the night, played about a 30-minute set to open the show. I have to say, friends, after hearing that, I've actually put Dave's music in my queue and think you should go check him out. I know I'm following him to see where I can see him out live again to play a full set. Now, after a short break, Hayes and Corb took the stage, with Corb stomping and getting the crowd into the show with his rye whiskey / time to switch to whiskey. It was a rousing open to the show with what I'm pretty sure was the first Corb Lund song I actually remember hearing. The track is from his 2009 album, Losing Lately Gambler. Now, Hayes then took the next song, You Get It All, the title track of his 2021 album. So these guys didn't really trade songs or even play along a lot with each other's songs, but rather just took turns doing their own songs and telling stories. So then we had Corb with When the Game Gets Hot, Hayes with The Progress of Man, Perrin, Bitcoin and Cattle, and Perrin, Corb with Dig Grave Digger Dig, Hayes with Beaumont, during which I teared up for the first of a couple of times that night, then with Corb with his big with country music fans, especially in the southern U.S., Inshallah, Hayes with his cover version of I've Been Everywhere, and then both of them on their recent cover recording of Garth Brooks's Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old. Now, mates, if you haven't heard this cover, you should go listen to it without me talking over it during the podcast. The stripped-down version really emphasizes how sad the song actually is. Now, after that duet, Hayes took a short break during which Corb played his songs I Want to Be in the Cavalry, student visas, and Horse Soldier, Horse Soldier. Hayes returned to the stage and played Ain't Enough of Me to Go Around before Corb excused himself for a bit for Hayes to play Chances Are, Drunken Poet's Dream, during which I teared up again, and Times Like These. Now, why did I tear up during Drunken Poet's Dream? Well, a couple reasons, I think. The biggest of which might be that it's one of the first Hayes Carll songs I actually remember hearing. Now, it could have been It's a Shame or Little Rock, but I distinctly remember hearing Drunken Poet's Dream and loving it from the first play, and then learning that Carll co-wrote the song with Texas music legend Ray Wiley Hubbard, so it's a pretty fucking strong track. Now, Corb jumped back on stage and played Getting Down on the Mountain. Hayes followed that with Knocking Over Whiskeys before the duo performed their 2012 duet, Bible on the Dash, which is also the name of their current tour, to end the show. Or did they? Oh, no, they didn't. The two of them came back out, and Corb jumped into $5 Bill before Hayes played the title track from his 2010 album, K-Mag Yo-Yo, and then both Hayes and Corb thanked the international crowd for attending before finishing the show with a duet of the Shel Silverstein-penned, yes, 1972 hit for Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, cover of the Rolling Stones. Now, the show was amazing, friends. It just absolutely soothed my soul. Now, let me chat a minute about the venue itself. It was Bush Hall in Shepherd's Bush. It's an old Edwardian theater that now serves as a live music venue, holds about 300 to 400 people seated or standing, and is a really intimate venue from stage to rear. There's also a standing room balcony with great views of the stage, and behind that is a really nice terrace for those who need to step outdoors during a show or break. I will definitely keep an eye out for not only artists I know playing there, but for other shows to attend at that venue again. Now, friends, why did I start today talking a bit personally about not feeling quite, quote, right, and then following up talking about Hayes Carll and Corb Lund gig? Well, it's because the show was like a big fucking hug for me. Like, I've tried at other times to see Hayes Carll live over the years, not been able to, so seeing him for the first time in this show was a real win for me. I was also heartened to have a chat with the merch guy, who I actually recognized as having met before at Robert L. Keane and pouring out Charlie Robinson gigs. So we got to chat about upcoming gigs he's doing, one of which I might be chatting about in several weeks' time, so stay tuned, but I digress here. So friends, I've come to the understanding that I'm probably just in some phase of stagnation that will actually lead to something really fucking cool. But it got me to thinking about the entire reason we started the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast, and it's because music soothes and brings people together. And while I attended this particular show solo, I was actually part of a dedicated crowd that was specifically there for the music and a drink or two, if you're so inclined. And I also had the opportunity to chat with some fellow Texans and a handful of Canadians, both groups of which are about the friendliest fucking people you can actually meet. Now look, I'm not going to say that going to a live show and having a drink or two will cure any and all minor mental or emotional ails, but I will say that it surely didn't hurt in my case. In fact, friends, having been a little less than active going to see live music as of late, it prompted me to recommit to getting out and about a bit more, whether going to see some of my mates play out or simply going to hear some new-to-me music at a favorite venue. So, you know what else soothes and brings people together with music? It's drinks, of course. So what do I pair with the Hayes Carll Corb Lund show? I'm going to go ahead and bet you can guess, friends. It's a beer and a whiskey. So I'm going today with my go-to Passion Pale Ale. But for whiskey, I'm actually choosing the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, giving a nod to the Hayes Carll track, Wild as a Turkey. He also has a song called Knockin' Over Whiskeys. He sings a lot about drinking. It's pretty awesome. Now, being that this hits the ABV scale at about 58%, I'm going to sip on this one instead of shoot it. Here we are. So there you go. Now, mates, all I'm saying here is get out and see live music, whether it's an artist traveling through town or someone making their way at one of your local venues. And with that, friends, I'd like to give a shout out to my colleagues and mates here at Passion Avenue and remind you to give a listen to the Young Life podcast. We drop a new episode every other Monday, so be a peeper and give that a watch on the Young Life YouTube channel or follow Young Life on your favorite podcast platform. I'll also ask you to please follow my best good mate and One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer co-creator Kern on the socials at Forgotten Grapes or Paso Seco to learn more about the Forgotten Grapes Wine Club or Paso Seco, the only sparkling wine made exclusively from Paso Robles grapes. And don't forget also to follow all things your old buddy Stub here on the socials at Corkivy. Friends, I'll be back next week with more music and beverage pairings. As always, thanks once again for listening and supporting the show over all these years. Kern and I really do appreciate it. So with that, until next time, remember to be nice, be safe, and be happy. Cheers, mates.
Longer, saddle's getting cold. I'm much too young to feel this damn old. And all my cards are on the table with no ace left in the hole. And I'm much too young to feel this damn old. Lord, I'm much too young to feel this damn old.